Hey YouTube. My mind's just gone completely blank. I forgot what I was gonna say. It happens. But anyway, yeah. As a lot of, well, as you probably know, I went to see the consultant at the mental health team on Monday morning, and I did promise that I would make a video. So here I am. But unfortunately, the appointment didn't quite go as I had planned. Um, Very few things actually go the way I plan. I should just learn to shut up and go with the flow, I guess. Um, but ew, I got spiky hair. Anyway, yeah. Um, so yeah, I went to this appointment, and I got there at 9:15. Which is really good for me because usually that early in the morning I'm running right up to the last minute because, well, yeah, I've got to get my son to school. Um, but Monday morning I was doing pretty good, you know. So I got there 9:15 to find out that Dr. Gaiman hadn't shown up yet. His receptionist phoned him, I guess, on his mobile and inquired where he was. Did he remember that he had an appointment at 9:30? To which he replied, "Well, the appointment isn't until 9:30, so I'll show up around at that time." Well, he didn't show up until 25 minutes to 10, and I actually didn't get in to see him until about quarter to 10. Um, so yeah, I wasn't very impressed about that, mainly because he could have got there earlier, but he just chose not to out of laziness, I guess. But then, as soon as I got in there, he started like, yeah, I mean, even though I had already spoken with two of his colleagues in that office, who had asked me, you know, about my past and mental health issues and all that, and it was all there in the file, and he just started firing all these questions at me. Didn't even really give me time to answer any of them. He's like, "Do you hear voices? Do you talk to yourself? Do you ever feel depressed? Do you see things that aren't there? Do you talk to things that aren't there?" And on and on and on. He asked about 10 or 12 questions like that, just really fast, one right after the other. And I'm going, "Your colleagues already asked me all these questions. It should be in the file." Uh, and so then he went on. He's like, "Well, I want you to know that I, you know," he said, "Well, what do you want from me?" This was what he said. "What do you want from me?" And I said, "Well," I said, "I want you to write a referral letter so that I can get to gender identity clinic and get treatment for my gender dysphoria and my physical dysphoria." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, I want you to know that writing referral letters to the GIC is not my job, and I don't do that. My job is to make sure that you don't have any underlying mental issues that might be causing you to have this gender dysphoria." And I looked at him and I went, "So who writes the referral?" I said, "Because according to the PCT pathway that I've got, it's you." And he went, No, that's your GP. Your GP has to write the referral." And I'm going, "Okay, that's not what it says on the piece of paper that I've read, but okay." And I looked and I said, "So what do you do?" I said, "Other than make sure that I don't have any underlying mental issues." And he said, "I write a letter to your GP saying that you don't have anything mentally wrong with you, and then the GP writes the referral letter to the gender identity clinic." And I looked at him, I said, "Okay, so I need this letter." And he looked at me and said, "Well, that's fine." He said, "But I want to ask you a few questions." And he's going on, he said, "Well," he said, "you say that you're bi-gendered." And I went, yeah, I'm, I said, I'm not 100% transsexual because I don't want the full course of, I said, I don't want the full course of surgeries. I don't want, I said, I don't, I'm not male 100% of the time. I said, I have both a male and a female side to me. And he looked at me and said, well, he said, I don't understand this. And I'm like, well, what is there to not understand? I've just explained it to you. Most of the time, I told him, I said, most of the time I'm male. I present as male. I said, but sometimes I go into what I call female mode, where I act female. I said, my voice changes, it goes up higher. My mannerisms change, my physical, the way I hold myself and the way I sit and my body language, it all changes. And he's like, well, a true transsexual, he said, from what I've learned, he said, a true transsexual doesn't do what you've done, doesn't do any of the things that you've done in your life. And I looked at him, I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you got married, you had kids, you used to wear dresses all the time. When you were living in the States, you wore dresses. When you lived here, until you left your husband here, you wore dresses. And I looked at him and I said, well, yeah. I said, in the States, I wore dresses, one, because they're more comfortable than women's jeans, which are way tight. I said, and two, I said, I was expected to wear dresses with my first husband, to fit into that proper housewife role, good Christian housewife role. I said, my husband here in England, I wore dresses because that's all he would buy me. He wouldn't buy me anything that wasn't fit to go clubbing in, basically. And he's like, well, but you had kids, you got married. He said, real transsexuals do not have kids, they do not get married. And I looked at him and I went, I said, what textbook have you read? I said, because that is outdated. I said, every transgender person that I talk to, I said, has either at one point either tried to fit in with their biological sex, or either to fit in with their school, with their peers, or make their parents happy, or whatever. I said, several transgender people that I know have gotten married and have had kids. I said, it's all part of that trying to fit in thing, because people judge you, and, I said, especially where I'm from. And he's like, well, it is not how I've learned things. And I'm like, well, you need to unlearn them and learn different, learn things in the real world. I told him, I said, did you not watch My Transsexual Summer that was on a few months back? I actually asked him, I said, did you not watch My Transsexual Summer on Channel 4 a few months back? And he went, no, I don't watch stuff like that. And I told him, I said, well, you need to. I said, because it'll teach you a lot. So he then asked me, he said, well, he said, when you're out in public, how do you dress? And I looked and I said, I dress the way I'm dressed now. I said, I wear men's clothing. I present as male. I wear a binder to flatten my chest. I wear a packer. I looked and I said, I present as male in public. Anytime I leave the house, I present as male. And he said, so what toilets do you use? I looked at him kind of, and I said, I present as male. I use the male's toilets. I said, I go into the men's room. And he looked at me and said, well, no offense, but you don't look like a man. Now, this is a professional, a doctor, who was saying this. Yeah, and no offense, but you don't look like a man. And I'm thinking, really? Gee, thanks. I had no idea that I don't look like a man. But I actually responded. I went, well, I'm not on hormones. So I still have all this estrogen running through my system. So that's going to stop me looking masculine. I'm going to retain my feminine appearance until such time as I get put on hormones. And then he looked at me and he said, and if you walked into the men's toilets and I was in there, I would tell you to leave and tell you that you were in the wrong toilets and you needed to go into the women's room. And now that just floored me completely. And I really, really wanted to ask him if he had, if he got his PhD from the back of a cereal box or something. Because, I mean, telling a transgender person that they don't look like the gender they're trying to present as, or that they are presenting as, and telling a transgender person that you would tell them to go into the other toilets if you saw them in the toilets of the gender that they were presenting as. Those are two big no-nos. You don't say that, as most of you are well aware. So yeah, I'm really happy to get rid of him. He says that he wants me to go back in 3 months for a follow-up to see how things are going. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. I'm hoping I get to see one of his colleagues and not him. But with regards to the referral letter, obviously I don't have it yet. When he said that about the toilets, I just looked at him. I said, right. I said, I just need this letter off of you. I said, I need this letter off of you saying that I don't have any mental issues. I said, so my GP can write this referral letter. I told him, I said, I've got an appointment with my GP this morning after I talked to you. I said, if you can get this letter out, I said, if you could print it up now, I said, that would work. And he said, well, my secretary prints out all letters. I don't do it myself. And he said, she won't be able to get it printed out until later today. And I looked at him, I said, all right. I said, I'm going to go see my GP. I said, I want you to send this letter out to my GP before the end of the week. And I said, they need to get it before the end of the week. I said, because I'm going private. And my first appointment is in London on the 2nd of February. I said, so I need a referral letter by the time I go down to London. And so he promised me that this letter would be sent to my GP, and that my GP would get it by Friday at the very latest. So I went to my GP's, left a note for them, and I have an appointment to see my GP on Friday to find out what's going on. So yeah, I'll update you guys then. I think it's going to be a fun week. So yep, that's it. So go to my GP on Friday, try to get the referral letter off of them before the 2nd. And then on the 2nd, I go down to London to see Dr. Curtis, with or without this referral letter. I'm going down there to see Dr. Curtis. That's the end of it. So anyway, that's it for me for now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.